Imagine a world where the United States military decides to intervene in the Israel-Palestine conflict. The consequences could be as uncharted as they are unprecedented. In the current geopolitical landscape, the Israel-Palestine conflict stands as one of the most complex and long-standing disputes. It's a quagmire of historical grievances, territorial disputes, and seemingly irreconcilable ideologies. A decision by the U.S. military to intervene directly could significantly alter the dynamics of this protracted conflict. The U.S. has traditionally played a role as a mediator between Israel and Palestine, albeit with varying degrees of success. But a shift from diplomacy to direct military intervention would be a marked departure from this role. It's a move that could reverberate across the globe, potentially reshaping alliances, igniting new tensions, and even disrupting the delicate balance of power in the Middle East. Let's consider the geopolitical complexities. The Middle East is a region where loyalties are fluid, alliances are often temporary, and the enemy of your enemy can sometimes be your friend. A U.S. military intervention could further complicate this already intricate web of relationships. It could trigger a domino effect, prompting other nations to reconsider their stance and potentially intensify the conflict rather than resolving it. The ripple effects could extend beyond the Middle East, influencing global politics. It could alter the dynamics of U.S. relations with other major powers, including Russia and China, who have their own vested interests in the region. It might also impact the U.S.'s standing in international institutions, like the United Nations, where the Israel-Palestine issue has been a recurring point of contention. It's also worth considering the potential impact on the American populace. The U.S. military's involvement in overseas conflicts has often been a divisive issue domestically. It could potentially lead to a public backlash, fueling debates about the role of the U.S. military in global affairs. The stakes are high, the consequences potentially monumental, and the path ahead uncertain. Yet, there could be benefits to U.S. military involvement in the Israel-Palestine conflict. When we think of this prospect, several potential positives come to mind. Firstly, the involvement of the United States military could lead to an accelerated resolution of the conflict. The U.S., with its vast resources and diplomatic reach, could facilitate constructive dialogue between Israel and Palestine. This could lead to an expedited peace process, potentially reducing the duration and severity of the conflict. Secondly, the presence of U.S. military forces could bring about stability in the region. The U.S. military's deterrence capacity could dissuade aggressive actions, potentially leading to a decrease in violence. This could result in a safer environment for civilians on both sides and create a more conducive atmosphere for peace negotiations. Thirdly, U.S. military involvement could strengthen the ties between the United States and Israel. The U.S. has long been a staunch ally of Israel. By taking a more active role in resolving the conflict, the U.S. could fortify this alliance, which could have strategic implications in the broader Middle East and even on a global scale. Finally, U.S. military involvement could trigger a shift in power dynamics, creating a new status quo. The U.S. could use its influence to nudge both parties towards a more balanced power structure, which could in turn make a peaceful resolution more likely. The creation of a new status quo could also lead to more equitable treatment of individuals on both sides of the conflict. However, it's important to remember that these potential benefits are not guaranteed and come with their own set of challenges. Increased U.S. involvement could inadvertently escalate tensions or lead to unforeseen consequences. Moreover, the U.S. would need to navigate the delicate balance between supporting its ally and maintaining an impartial stance to facilitate peace talks. The potential benefits are significant, but they come with substantial risks. However, the drawbacks of U.S. military involvement could be severe. Let's tread into those murky waters. One major concern is the potential escalation of violence. Introducing more weapons and soldiers into an already tense situation could inadvertently fan the flames of conflict instead of extinguishing them. It's a delicate balance, like trying to defuse a bomb in the dark. Then there's the international response to consider. Military action, especially in a fraught region like the Middle East, can have ripple effects across the globe. Allies and non-allied nations alike may react negatively to U.S. intervention. Some might see it as an overstep of boundaries, while others could interpret it as a sign of aggression. This could strain diplomatic relations and create new tensions. Beyond the international stage, there's also the potential for increased anti-American sentiment. History has shown us that military interventions can fuel resentment among local populations. This could translate into more support for anti-American factions, which can lead to a vicious cycle of conflict and retaliation. And let's not forget the risk of getting embroiled in a protracted conflict. The US has had its share of long-term military engagements, and the toll they take is immense. They drain resources, claim lives, and often leave deep, lasting scars on the nations involved. Then there's the question of the endgame. What happens once the dust settles? Military action is just a part of the puzzle. It needs to be complemented by diplomacy, nation-building, and reconciliation efforts. Without these, any victory may be short-lived, and the root causes of the conflict could resurface. In the end, the decision to involve the military in the Israel-Palestine conflict is not one to be taken lightly. It's a high-stakes gamble with unpredictable outcomes. The risks are as stark as the potential benefits, painting a complex picture of potential US military involvement. In this complex scenario, the role of an informed and engaged public becomes paramount. As we navigate the intricate dynamics of the Israel-Palestine conflict, the influence of public sentiment in shaping policy decisions cannot be underestimated. It is the collective voice of the people that sends a powerful message to our leaders, urging them to consider the human implications of their choices and to strive for peaceful resolutions. In a world where information is at our fingertips, it falls upon each one of us to stay informed about the evolving situation. By understanding the historical context, the geopolitical implications, and the human cost of the conflict, we can form balanced opinions that are rooted in fact rather than swayed by misinformation or bias. In this globalized world, what happens in one part of the globe affects us all.